announcement. I'm not good at this yet. But hey everybody, this is me again. We are currently here with myself, Scott, and Bob. We're about to get started with streaming today. And yeah, so today we're going to be streaming just a live stream of us programming from scratch, really. Some ideas that Scott, one of the people on the call. Hey, Scott.
What's up?
I don't actually know if your video shows up anywhere, but we'll have to look at that later. But so what we're gonna do is we had this idea earlier when we were talking about games from the 90s, a game called and let me know if you guys are seeing this. Are you guys seeing Mountain Goat and
Yep.
Actions Express Pro? Okay. This is called Momentum, by the way. One of my favorite Firefox extensions is Momentum, and it's on Chrome too, but it just really cleans up your desktop and treats your new tabs like a desktop too. But so what we're, oh gosh, I'm losing my mind here a little bit. What we were looking at was rebuilding a game from the 90s called Factory, the Devolution.
The Industrial Devolution.
Industrial Devolution. So if you're looking to play it, it is actually available here at classicreload.com. And so we're not exactly making a one-to-one copy. It's more just an idea, a basis. And so if you're looking to code along, where we're going to be starting is spinning up an empty repo. And then we're going, oh, sorry about the sound. Oh gosh, let me mute this tab. I don't know if that was coming over Zoom or not. Scott, were you hearing anything, Bob?
Just a little garbled.
Okay, yeah, it was very garbled. So on my side, so this is an emulator. Here, let me zoom in a little bit. So if I click outside of this is an emulator inside of a browser, which is really neat, in my opinion. And so like here we have just a canvas ID, and that's just rendering an event here. And so you can see that like they're kind of just sucking all your mouse events in to this. And so you pretty much are creating like a little virtual machine inside of the browser, like I would imagine like VMware does for any of like their online VMs or any place else with virtual machines for that matter. But like what we have here now is like we can really like look. I'm not gonna personally like look at the internals of it much. This was just like really neat to see that they already had a game kind of built inside of a browser like this, because I just remembered this from the 90s, and here it is. But like here's kind of the idea we were looking at earlier when I remembered it. So here's dropping the triangle into the proper storage tank. So you can kind of click here. I think you can click up here in the speed to speed it up, and you can see that it drops the triangle into the storage here. And then what you have to do is make sure you're clicking. Oh, there we go. It's in tutorial mode. I was clicking the button and it wasn't making it go through, but it's just in tutorial mode right now. And so what you got to make sure is that you're sending it to the right place and send it up here to be stored. And so it's just kind of neat that this game is in its entirety hosted here. And I think there was a later release, like a version 2, that had color and was in a lot better shape than this one. But I just remember and have fond memories of this game. I think this was about the year that Scott was born or so when this game came out.
Probably before, honestly.
I think this was a 92, 93. So yeah, It was before you were born, yeah. So I was born
11
in
years
87.
before I was born.
Yeah, you were born in 2000, weren't you? Yeah,
2004.
2004. All right. One of these days we'll drink a beer together, Scott.
A few years away, but
yeah, one of these days. So anyways, so this is kind of the basis that like I was showing Scott earlier for like what I thought would be maybe a fun game to build or try to build in React. And so what we're doing now is Scott has kind of his version of the game that he's gonna use some of the concepts that we've learned during our time at Flatiron, and really that's all I have also, like and plus a few years and some engineering time, but he's built games, and if anybody else wants to code along, like what we're doing is just building a React application. Potentially, like really, this is our first week of experience in React. And I say we, like, I'm going to be trying to build a React app using React game engine, kind of presenting, my goal is to present a conveyor belt that's going to grab items from some depositing place and then move those items across the screen and then like trash them. So that's kind of my first goal. So I'm going to create a OneNote. OneNote's kind of my go-to choice. You can see here that I have a bunch for Flatiron and other things. And I'm going to probably start it, I don't know. I'll just start it right here. And then do a new page. Okay, so factory devolution.
So we're in where we at now?
Hi, I hear somebody talking. Are you asking a question for the meetup?
Oh no, I just don't have my mic mute. I'm in a cohort right now with Digital Crafts in Atlanta. We're looking to do a basic game in Python using classes and objects, and if functions and things like that. So I was curious to see what you guys had going on.
Nice. Yeah, you might be able to ask, I think another person in here, Scott has done some game programming before. I've done a lot of game playing, but we're actually more in JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and we're just switching into frameworks with React, but we actually haven't touched Python at all yet.
The syntax is pretty similar. There's just slight differences. So I mean, if you guys are good with HTML, then Python will be super easy to pick up. I mean, you can literally just watch a YouTube video, knowing a different code, and it's not difficult at all. It's all
nice.
pretty. It's very straightforward with functions. You just have your different function commands, and if you just add your variable, and then you can build off of that, and you have multiple variables, it becomes a list, and then whenever you start adding multiple variables in a certain way, it becomes an object, and then when you start defining a whole, I want to say matrix of variables, then it becomes a class, and then that's when you can start doing like basic prompts, and then inputs, and then the values start creating different functions that the user can start seeing. It's all pretty cool.
Yeah, Ben, Python's really similar to Ruby in syntax.
Yeah.
At least from what I've looked at it. I've done a tiny bit in Python, but not very much. I know the basic syntax, and I've done like a little project in it, but it was like all, console logging. And I learned a little bit about a framework called Kinter
Really?
in Python, which builds GUIs. So you can build like GUI applications. It's TK.
TK.
TK. There's a T at the beginning, so it's kind of weird. It's pronounced Kinter, but it's just it has a. I'll put it in chat.
I'm just gonna go with this one. The intelligent Caterio? No. Just post it up in chat.
That's what I
there
did.
we go. Oh, okay, thank you. Oh, and I just am realizing, like, I apologize if anybody's on a smaller monitor. I usually try to go to about 180% on my monitor, just so that it doesn't like look too atrocious. I wish there was a way to post up a Zoom huddle. Like, can you guys can see yourselves, right? Like, at least in each other.
If you swipe on, and like if you have a cell phone, you can swipe right and you can see everyone that's a participant. But in order to see you and the participants, that's not doable on the mobile device just yet. And I have a
Gotcha.
Galaxy, actually, hold on. I have a Galaxy Fold 4. I can,
Well,
Yeah,
I'll just keep on trying to zoom in, to make it like make as the most sense. And really, this is for the people who are here, like not YouTube. I just do the YouTube thing because I don't know, I'm bored and I've never done streaming before. But oh, this is interesting. So TC
anybody that might be on a laptop can look at the top of the screen, and then whenever you're zoomed in, they can zoom in on top of that and do a 100%, 150% on top of that.
Fair. Well, hey, it's coming up on 7:15, and so I really try and like this might be kind of weird, but I try and kind of go in like 15-minute increments of things. And so I'm gonna really try to get started on doing something at least here. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set a focus session here for 15 minutes. And what I'm gonna get started on is getting the React game engine spun up and just getting something moving across the screen. And so that's like really my first goal. And so like feel free to like chat. I really want to treat this more like a room than like me just like making speeches. That's what it's been for the first few of these, but I'd really rather have it be just like a cafe of like people just working on stuff and chatting about things. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep on talking through what I'm building, but if somebody wants to speak up and talk about what they're building, and if they need help, whether it's Python, whether it's JavaScript, whatever it is, that's definitely available. Like this is just supposed to be kind of like a hall. And if you guys need separate meeting rooms, I did buy a subscription to Zoom, and so I can always like split rooms off and give those to you guys if you want to chat about something and feel like it's like not appropriate like for everybody else to be talking about too, or like you don't want it on like the recording, then you can definitely like split off into another room and talk about it. But yeah, like this is just going to be like a coding free for all. So have fun, feel free to ask questions. I'll kind of be chatting through what I'm doing just because I started this, but it's definitely just meant to be kind of neutral and welcoming. So welcome. I guess that's the final statement. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna like watch this. What I like to do with things that I'm interacting with is I'll do a watch, a custom, and then I'll just go to releases, because like most of these things are like too active, but I like to like at least know something about like what's going on with something that I'm interested in. And so what I've started doing is going to watch, custom, and then just doing releases, because that kind of gives you like how often these things are getting released. And if you look here, like this doesn't even have any releases. So like this might not actually be very good, but we'll start with it. I read a blog post about it earlier. So what React game engine is it's supposed to be just like a simple game engine for React. And so they talk about this React Native engine, which it seems to have like a few more followers. Like it has 2.4K stars versus the 300 that this one has. But like when I see 2.4K, I think that's probably like a decent sign that maybe it's at least somewhat useful. And I'm just looking for a starting place really. And so I'm going to just read through to try and find a quick start. Yep. So here we got a quick start. So let me close some things that I have open. Here's the playlist that I might start playing later if things just get. Well, probably after this stream, really. But here's the notes I've taken so far. I don't have as much to clean up as I usually do. I've tried to like delete like half the things off my bottom bar. I've had just like such a hectic time with Windows 11. Highly recommend Windows 11 preview, by the way. The earlier edition, it allows you to give your applications folder in here. And I don't know about anybody else, but like development just takes way too many things to not have folders at this level. And so that's one thing. If you're a Windows user and you need to get back folders in your start menu, there's other ways. There's definitely other ways to get your shell better, but that's one way that I found is to just get onto the development track. Okay, so we don't really need to have this directly, but it's okay to have it. I don't need this starting in a directory right now. So that should stop it starting in a directory. I didn't want it to not start in any directory. Okay, so what I need to do is explore. So this is what I get for, sorry, I've had a heck of a time today. I've been experimenting with a lot of settings with my terminal and my other environments. And one of the things that I've been experimenting with is starting directories. And so it's been great, like, to be honest. It's really nice to be able to change your parent directory. So right now, like what my parent directory was like my Windows start menu. And so what I did was I just went back to my personal WSL root. And I'm just going to paste that back in as my starting directory. And I hope that that just finished it. Yep, perfect. So now I'm back to my little squiggly tilde that I like to see. Oh, and another thing I just learned about today was aliases. And so these are great. And I hate to get this off topic this quickly, but to be honest, that's what this is kind of for. And so if you go to bash rc, what you can do is create aliases and prompt dir trim or directory trim. So dir trim, but this allows you to get like some shorter directories when you start getting deeper into folders. So say I'm going into development, going into code, going into phase. Now it will only show 2 folders in my bash rc file. So if you go down to your base WSL and then edit your bash rc file, you can just add this command right here, and it will shorten it to only show the 2 folders, which I've found is usually enough for any type of interaction I want to do. Otherwise, I can just always go to the tree to do anything. And then this is what I figured out today was get doing aliases. And so you can use the alias command in any bash file. And so this is called a bash file because it's your bash settings, I believe. And so alias get CL. Now I can use that to get clone. I can use alias npm is to npm install and npm start. I can use alias get am to get commit am. And then this is something that I was a little confused by, but it was use $1 for the first string or argument that's getting passed in. Use $0 if you're wanting to refer to itself. It's like a self-referential thing when you do $0, and then $2 through 9 would be the second through 9th argument that you're passing in to an alias. And then get pew get poo is get push. And so I don't know, that just saves a couple keystrokes, but I've been trying to do it 5 letters just because that seems like an appropriate way to remember that if it's 5 letters, that's probably a personal alias. But that's not important. We got our terminal fixed, so let's close some things down, start a new one where it's fixed. And so what I'm going to do is first look at what I have here. That's too much. Okay. So I'm going to create a new repository. I'm going to call it factory dev clone. Clone of the classic 90 improvement of the classic 1993 game factory. The industrial devolution. That's good enough. 93. How to read me. I have no idea what my get ignore or my license should be. So perfect. So then I get my SSH. Oh, get cla. So now I can use my aliases. Okay. So now I need to let's see. ls code factory. I'll just do the rest in this terminal. All right. So at this point, I would normally just grab my npm, but since I don't have a create React app started yet, I need to do that to start with. Oh, that would be a fun one. Alias create equals npx create React app dot. So if we do that, create. Oh, I thought that would work. Create. Oh, that's the thing about bash files. You can't like do spaces anywhere. They just like hate it. npx create React app dot. Okay, so start a new one. Create. There we go. Cool. So now what it's doing is it's creating a React app. Which will like create all the structure for this folder to have all the files that it needs to have to run React. So we'll let this install. Yeah, but I've been a big fan of like aliasing stuff because like it just like I don't know, like that's what we're doing as programmers, right? Is like we're already just like creating shortcuts for all these other functions. So why not create more shortcuts? Like at first I was like, oh, like this is gonna like kneecap me because like I'll only know my own shortcuts for doing all this stuff. And I was like, no, like that's bogus. Like I can create cheat commands for my own life. Like, yeah, like I'm gonna create cheat commands for my own life. Like, so I would highly recommend aliases, bash RC. Okay, so now what are we doing? Oh, now I can use another cheat command, npm is. Boom. Okay. So we have this launching somewhere. Oh, is somebody chatting? Oh, do we have more people? Hi, if anybody joined. By the way, everybody, like, just so you know, I do like to make this announcement like every 15 minutes or so. We are like, I am recording this. So I post this up on YouTube, but feel free to talk, feel free to share. Let me know afterwards if like that's making you less likely to talk. Like, it probably is, but I don't know. It seems more interesting to like share it up and have like that hanging over my head. So
My
anyways.
bad. I've just been doing my own thing the whole time.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I figured as much, Scott. Yeah. I'm not too worried about it, but that literally, Scott, this is like the largest amount of people that I've ever been in this at once. So you know how it is.
How exciting.
Yeah, you're welcome to it. All right, so I have my first layer of a React app. So I feel like that this node modules is automatically ignored. From what I can tell, and Scott, maybe you can speak to this. Like this being grayed out, this means this is ignored, right?
Yeah, that's usually how VS Code does it.
Right, because it doesn't
could-
want to like load all the packages.
Right, and you can check in your git ignore as well to see if it's listed there.
Mm,
Yep.
smart.
Right, first one listed.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So it's just like giving us a local environment to work on the site in. That's one thing that I've been frustrated by, Scott, is it seems like potentially like we could have had like a better structure that would have loaded all of these things versus like it seems like I'm loading all of this constantly when we could have had like a baseline one,
Hmm.
but whatever. I don't know how big this actually is. This is probably
It's massive.
Oh, really? It is big.
Well, yeah, because like if you think about like even if you're only importing a couple of modules, like those modules have their dependencies, and so it's like a massive tree, and they're all code files. Some of them pretty big.
Oh, geez.
I got a bug report from React earlier
Huh.
today that was like from line 14,000 something. So they're quite large.
Jeez. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. It's up to 300. This is for something I just, wow. Gosh, that seems inefficient. Like, it seems like we should be able to like minify our own coding environment. Interesting. Oh. Okay, memory's cheap. So Webpack configured successfully. So Tkinter was one of the packages that Scott had mentioned that he had worked with in Pi. This is the game, so I'm going to keep that open. If anybody wants, I'm gonna share in chat the link to my GitHub repo. Scott or anybody else, if you feel like it, you can definitely share the link to your own. So the first thing I'm going to do is this the React game engine I want? This is the React Native. Okay, so okay. So right now I'm installing the game engine that I think I'm going to try and use. So I use the command npm install --save React game engine. So now if I go to my package.json, I should see React game engine. The version is 1.1.0 right now. So right now I'm just going to git commit. Oh, again, I will use my alias getm and use a string to say getm initial game React and React game engine loaded and install. That seems right. Git poo. Oh, I don't like that. Git add. There we go. So my problem there was that I had not added all these files yet, I think, to my commit. Yeah, you need to manually add them. Okay, so there's git push. Okay, so where are we gonna start? We're gonna start at index.js, app.js. I feel like there's a piece missing that we normally have. Like components. I think that's where that would go. So app.css. Okay, let's do a tutorial. So apparently that's what we're doing this time. Start. Gotcha. Can't do focus mode in Zoom calls. Okay. So far it is going to import app from app on the class name app. Okay. So what I want to do is start seeing what this thing has. First install, then import the game engine component. Why can't? Oh, just never read. Renderers.js, create a file called the renderers. Render, that is a hard word. I won't want every one of you on mute to say that right now. Renderers, renderers.js. All right, so from React, we are importing React And pure component. That's why you destructure, so you can call it directly. So otherwise you'd have to call pure, like React dot pure component. Why do we call React? Oh, we call React. We don't have to do this. Oh, this is an old syntax. This is like the class syntax. Well, it should work the same. So we don't need to extend. Okay, let's get it working in this first, but I'm gonna make some notes. So like notes on React game engine. One, they use class instead of function for declaring their components suggested. In multiple docs that should use function. See if can rewrite tutorial. See. Rewrite tutorial. Push to main. Okay. So all I'm saying here is that, like, in my mind, anytime I see class, ever since reading like some of the React documentation over using class and extending, that's not suggested pretty much anymore when it comes to React. And so what I want to see what their React, their JSON is, their package is. So yeah, they're using a little bit older version of React. And so that probably, yeah, so the most recent version of React is actually 18.2. And so they're 2 versions behind, but like that does not mean that I need to refactor their engine. That just means that they're 2 versions behind. Okay, so export box. Now let's code our logic in a file called system.js. System.js. I'm choosing to update the game state. I am choosing to update the game state entities directly for the sake of brevity and simplicity. There's nothing stopping you from treating the game state as immutable and returning a copy. Example, return object entities destructured t.id object updated components end object. That said, it's probably worth considering performance implications in either case. Move box const payload input.find x is turning into a function where x's name is equivalent to on mouse down or empty object. Oh, okay. Okay, so move box is going to be our caller. And we're going to take a series of entities, an array, I'm guessing, of entities. And with that array of entities, we are going to take the input. Interesting. Okay. I don't need to understand it yet. Save, and save. I don't I don't know why I don't like autosave, but for some reason I don't. I'll probably turn it on relatively soon, but I like to be told that I'm making a mistake and like I know that I'm making a mistake. Okay. So if we move forward with this tutorial, I think I'm gonna see if I can do. There we go. Oh, geez. See if we can just delete this node altogether. No, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's just go into the README. There we go. Okay, let's see what they're wanting. So. Game engine, export default class, simple game. Steps your component. So we've already translated all of this. This is that single line that he had talked about earlier. So yeah, we can translate all this junk. Okay, yeah. So like if we're looking at it just like from a linear standpoint, like any of this stuff that we're seeing that says class is junk. Like that can be thrown right out the window. Like that is all from like the old school of 16. So like we should put this in to start with just to prove that we can get it working, but we should just be aware that like there's a lot of old junk in the engine that we should throw in the trunk. Right. Okay, so there's 1945. Let's get commit. There's not anything. Oh no, we got some stuff to get commit. So let's get this working in the old style. And then we'll do the update to the new style. And then we'll see if we can't get like one conveyor moving an object. Let's bring it together in our index.js. So this should just be completely separate. Import game engine. Import game engine from React Game Engine. I see you. So that can go there. This is rendering twice. Extends pure component. Module cannot have multiple default. Huh. Oh, it doesn't want to have anything else in here. Let's just split this off entirely into game, engine, right? No, simple game, JS. So now we're just exporting. So we're keeping things independent and segregated from the other main parts of the program. And so I don't know if we need this pure component. So a pure component should just be like what we already have with synthetic events. But I still don't understand synthetic events well enough to really know if that's right. So if we do all this, and then we go to simple game, okay, this is not gonna work, so you need to be components. Why are you coming from systems? Move box. You're supposed to be systems. No errors right now. That's incredible. Okay. Well, first things first. Why don't we just junk all of you? Game, engine. No. Simple, game. Hey, look at that. That was kind of cool. Simple game from simple game. There we go. Okay. NPM start. Yikes. She ain't happy. Not found. Can't resolve opponent's renderers. Source. Simple game. Oh, dot slash, folks. Always remember to do a dot slash. Dot slash. Okay. Warning. Logo is defined but never used. So you're not gonna compile it? I don't understand. NPM start. Get out of here. Oh, look at that. We got a box. We got a box. Okay. Well, we should probably celebrate that with some kind of fact. Okay. Let's delete that one, delete that one. Let's start a new clone. All right, so let's get add everything, get game engine working. Oh. Simple game engine working. Get boo. All right, so well, always put that, so this should actually go in here. Always, yeah, always automatically. Why would I not want that? Okay, so now you're looking at the same level Okay, so this needs to be renamed. So now we're gonna refactor this quick, just so it's using a little more modern language. Renders, import, export, box. Export box, import. No, so, const box. Then nothing. You are just your own person. Box. You've made it. You've made it in the real world. You get to be, you get to be a full function. So now we're not rendering and then calling it on the function. We are returning the function as something that should be called by React. Oh gosh, this is already. That's frustrating. Okay, so I need to not do that. I need to do this. Put you up there. You don't need to exist. Okay. Okay, this should still work out the same. Export default box. I believe. Hmm. Hmm. Components. Can't resolve renderers. Where is it trying to resolve renderers? Shouldn't be trying to resolve renderers. Can't resolve systems. Error and source component, simple game. Can't resolve renderers. Can't resolve system. Interesting. Maybe this refactoring is not quite as simple as I was thinking. Renderers. So we cannot use box here on systems. Systems equal move box. Okay. Like, roll it all back. We roll everything back. Get roll back. Get revert. Get revert. I did you think of it as a get rollback. Get reset. Get reset. Get reset. Current two. Get reset. Why aren't you working? System. Line 7. Maybe that's just the. Maybe we just need to get all this. Skunk out of here. Okay, I'm just trying. Hmm. Well, Scott, this is what you get when you try and use a new engine.
Yeah, it takes a bit to learn, doesn't it?
Oh, it's, I mean, like, it feels like, so I mean, I'm just being silly and trying to like change it from, like the class-based old way to like the new function-based way. And like everything seems to be breaking and I'm like, oh, uh-oh, I don't
Oh,
understand.
that's a bummer.
Right, so like loads, oh, well, now I'm getting one less error, never mind. Like, imported as box is not found in renderers. Yeah, so it's just like interesting, like what problems you run into. Was with these different things. When you're trying to do weird stuff. Oh, okay, I need to do a return here. Oh no. Oh, this is a function. One, two, four.
Shouldn't it be a lowercase b now? Line number 3.
Oh, yeah, essentially. Oh, yeah. Like, it's like it wants it to be capitalized, but I just can't for the life of me figure out like. Is it because like this is not a function? Am I more like referring to this? As like. So I think I just need to revert everything back to like the last commit, which I'm not exactly sure how to do. Cause I feel like I've gotten just like too far down like an edit hole. And maybe I can just undo it all the way there, but. Maybe if I do a git pull, oh, I never did, I don't think I ever did a git. Do any of you guys know how to do a revert?
I haven't done one myself. But I think you can pull from a previous commit if I'm not.
Right, that's what
Mistaken.
I tried to do. I tried to do a git pull, but it's like acting like I need to add more commands there.
We'll try looking it up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I,
That's pretty much what you gotta do when you don't.
yeah, it says git reset. Get, oh, I was trying to. Unstage changes after. Do I just do it twice? Get, reset, soft. No box. Okay. Huh. It's always kind of sucks when you get jammed in the center. All right. You should be able to return simple game. You should be able to return game engine. So let's just remove this for now. Identifier. Interesting. Entity. Huh. Huh. Just 'cause I have this random R here.
Yeah, I think you want to get reset hard
Yeah,
on origin master. That would get rid of all your tracked and untracked changes.
appreciate that. Hey, look, it's back. Hey. Oh, so then it just like throws it all back where it used to be and then just leaves these as like uncommits. I gotcha. Okay, well, like, let's not leave something too far. Oh, like, okay, so simple game. At least I want to remove this up to components. So if I move this up to components, that should still be fine. Now, like, let's do something with the box. How about just like uppercase? Will it even allow me to uppercase? So what did I screw up? Class box. Interesting. So I would have thought this would have been allowed to be functionalized. So I would have just been like changing the class out, getting rid of extends, getting rid of render. Huh, maybe it was the render part. Whatever it was. Okay, so I want to make the red box move left or right. So what I'm going to do is with the entity box one, with the renderer box from renderers. Let's give that div an on click. What I want to do is have it reference its X value and refresh it. So right now the position is just using left X here. Interesting. So I feel like what I actually want to do is not do the event handler on this point, but I want to do some kind of function to interact with the X value here. And so right now, what it's doing is this props.x minus size of 2. So let's do a quick, easy loop I equals I 0 less than 100. Let. Oh, this is where I'm gonna always get screwed up with like React. And so all I want to do is say let X equal this original value. And then like just set it equal in this for loop to the changing value that I want it to be. But the problem is that I think I'm running into, in my brain at least, is that this is mutation. This is not like using a setter property. And so what I think I need to do is not do this, but I'm worried, or I think potentially that it might be possible that this will work inside the inside this game engine. So I have no idea what this is going to do. Okay, so it just executes the for loop super quickly. It doesn't like have any concept of time. I wonder what happens if we debugger right here. Oh, does not like that. Does not like debuggers. Okay, debugger. X equals this prompt. Yeah, this is not even rendering. Oh, that's so interesting. So X equals 199. So it's like somewhat similar to like what I wanted to do, but it's just always resetting it. Yeah, okay. So that's kind of what I thought I might do. Let's get rid of the debugger and hit yes. So I think instead of X equals this props, we have to have some kind of timer. There's gotta, okay. So I'm gonna back out. Like I'm using an engine for some reason, right? And so like in my mind, like I need to research some of these pieces a little more. I think you had the right idea, Scott. Oh, yeah, sorry, guy. Oh, I didn't even see that people were dropping off. Scott, what do you have so far?
I'll show you.
Yeah, let me stop the recording, or if you want to show it on the recording, that's fine too.
Sure, that's fine. Yeah.
Let me stop.
It's really not much, but I've been working with React and getting together some components in the background. So right now, just have a very basic kind of factory grid here, and these rightward conveyor belt objects. Obviously, the display is very primitive, and that can be fixed later through images and graphics and all. But I'll do it. I guess a basic overview of some of the things I'm doing. So I got a bunch of different files here. There's obviously the index and the app. There, I haven't implemented any header, which would have like timer and then like, you know, your points or like your quota in the context of the game.
Right.
Then I have a cell, actually I'll get to that one later, a factory component, which does some stuff with 2D arrays, pulling from these data files over here.
Oh, nice.
Essentially what it does is it loads in a level, which is a function I wrote. So you can, you know, basically write out levels as 2D arrays, and then they'll be all stored in a giant array. So you can just call a level number and it will load that one in. So, you know, once the whole game is kind of built, you can just add more and more levels as necessary.
Nice.
Cell divs is just I used a couple maps, a nested map, so that created a bunch of different cells for each space in the factory. And this was, yeah, this is just the return statement for that. So it goes through each row in the level. It creates another array, which is referencing that row, and it creates cells in each of those indices, and then it returns the whole row with the array of individual cells, and then that happens for each
Oh,
row. So
gotcha.
basically it loads in a 2D array of React components, and what it looks like in the end is you have your div and then your class of factory, and then inside the factory there's rows, and then
Nice.
each row has a bunch of different spans, which are cells.
Oh, cool.
And then there's just some basic classes that I
How does
mixed
it
in.
know where the outlines are? Oh,
That was just CSS.
gotcha.
I just did some basic CSS to like format everything. Right now it only supports a 10 long and 5 tall. I can implement, you know, variable dimensions later. The real like meat right now is in the levels and machines.
Cool.
So yeah, with levels, it's just a very basic level with a bunch of write conveyors. To load the level, it takes the level blueprint, which is like what's typed in up here.
Right.
And it does another nested map, and it constructs a machine object.
Nice.
If it's empty, it'll just construct an empty machine. Otherwise, it will construct one that's the same as the cell name, so like conveyor right, and then it'll give it its position as well, so it has a position reference.
Yeah.
And then in the actual machines file here, there's like a machine, an object that represents all the machines. So there's just an empty one, which has an empty display and no process. And then conveyor right, which has the display of the rightward arrow, and a process where it takes in the factory itself and then the machine itself. It gives references to the machine's position. And then it basically stores the current process item.
Oh, okay.
Well, each machine will have a stored item,
Right.
and it'll have a process item, and the stored
Right.
item is what it's going to process next update cycle. The process item is what is processing this update cycle.
Sure.
And the reason they have to be stored separately is, like, if I'm iterating through each one, I can only do one at a time. So if I have a rightward conveyor that with an item on one and then an item just to the right of it,
The simultaneous, yeah.
yeah, in order for them to actually like not overwrite one another, because essentially it's updating each machine one at a time really quickly.
It's like the
So-
handshake, yeah, of like we're passing.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's basically passing the object to the next conveyor belt, and it's setting the current item to process to undefined.
Interesting. So you're saying, so how does it actually Are you handling the handoff yet, or is that still?
No, that's what I started working on now is I'm starting to write in items. And I was just getting started on writing I think I'm gonna store items in a separate array, actually. Just
Yeah.
because the items, I'm not gonna have to update the machines at all with state.
Right?
Items I will, because the items are gonna be the things that are moving around.
Hmm.
So basically it'll be an identical dimension, identically, I don't know how you'd say that. It's an array with identical dimensions. So it will map perfectly onto the level array. So
I hear what
yeah,
you're saying, like, it's gonna, yeah, fit, like, the key will, well, yeah. So you're saying that the level and the number of items are going to like match perfectly to a certain level, or?
sort of like the items, there's going to be a separate array that stores the item positions. And so like, there's the array that has all the machines on them. And then there's another array that'll be like the same size, and it might have like an item here. And that's just so when we do the state updates, it doesn't have to re-render all the machines. It's just re-rendering the items themselves as they move through. And it will have identical dimensions and positioning such that like, it's perfectly mappable onto this one, and the conveyor belts can just move the items along in their array and pass the references on.
That's cool. I'll have to, I think I'm gonna take another stab at this for probably another hour or so. But I'm not gonna do it on stream or on Zoom or anything. But
Yeah.
without like I don't know, like, I think it was maybe kind of silly of me to try and like attack an engine.
Yeah, to learn something new on stream is gotta be tough.
From scratch, yeah. I mean, like, I think I would have probably taken a different approach than yours, because mine was really just to like get like a picture of a conveyor on it. And that's
Yeah.
where I was like, I really should like attack a game engine, because there's got to be something that has like animations built in. And when I was looking at React animations, everything was just like transitions, and I was like, oh, like, how am I gonna do that? But I think I could. I would just like have a state timer that would be like true, false, like, and just like keep on rotating timers forward, or not even a true false, maybe like a 5-second step through of animations. Yeah.
What I'll do for mine is at least for like the logic updates, I'll just do a set interval for every second or every like 3/4 of a second. And at that set interval, it will iterate through the factory and do the process of each of the machines. So like, it'll look really ugly, first of all, like while it's still like in implementation, because it'll just be things stepping one block at a time. But we could implement CSS transitions so that they do have a smoother transition at least.
Sure. Yeah.
And put in images and stuff. You could put in GIFs for like conveyors if you wanted them to be animated.
Right. Oh, for sure. Like, is there a reason you made them like not perfectly square?
I just basically set concrete dimensions for this block so that the grid layout would fit.
Gotcha. Oh, no, I was just thinking about like, I don't know, hexagons, octagons. Like, I mean, obviously, like, I'm always gonna do rectangles, but I'm just like thinking about like if there would be a better way to set it up. But like, really, you wouldn't need one. Like, you just be saying like this thing is capable of diagonal passes.
Right. So like if I want to do squares, that could be a way to do it. There, now they're square. It was just because I set the ratio of
Yeah.
the width to the height.
No, that's cool, Scott. Like,
so yeah, I'm gonna try and get the like basic conveyor belt functionality in probably tonight. And then I don't know, I'll probably pop in and show you on a Zoom tomorrow or something then.
Sure. No, I got some time tonight. Like, I need to help out with some Thanksgiving cooking. Jamie's parents decided they were gonna come stay with us for Thanksgiving, and we're like, Okay, yeah, I guess we need to start working.
Yeah.
No, that's legit, like, it's so interesting to see such a different approach, because I was like so focused on I was like, oh, I already know what the game needs to be. And so I was just like so focused on like getting a conveyor belt. I think that like I kind of lost track of like, no, just like scrap together a framework first without like the engine and images and like the bells and whistles. But I think because I had such like a good idea of what it looked like in my mind, I was just like, I need that animation, so quickly. Instead of just being like, how would you even like build a map? Hey, thank
Yeah.
you, Leanne. But yeah, I gotta get going, Scott. I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks so much for us sitting in and working on things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look forward to next week. Oh, and 2 weeks from now.
Heck yeah.
I was gonna tell you about this sooner or later. Every December, there's this thing called Advent of Code.
Mm,
And it's like an advent calendar almost, where every day there's a new there's a new problem that's presented, and you have to find an answer by writing out an algorithm, because it gives you like massive like 1,000-line inputs.
sure.
So you pretty much have to program a solution. And yeah, there's a new one each day up until Christmas Day in December.
Heck yeah.
I tried it last year. It was kind of tricky. It's pretty much all algorithms, data structures and algorithms type stuff. But I was going to do it again this year, and that might be something fun we could jump into on one of these coding
Oh,
nights,
heck
because
yeah.
it's pretty accessible. It's simple, but it's fun too.
Oh yeah. No,
Not
I'd
a
be
lot of
so
setup.
down. Yeah.
So, and
Do
I
you-
think if you want to see what it's like, I believe you can go onto their website and you can like get all the prompts for previous years and even do them, test your solutions and such. It's not like quite as nice as an online IDE. They'll basically give you a big prompt, they'll give you an input file, and then they'll make you build your own program, and then basically you have your program give you the input, you copy and paste it, and your program gives you the output, you copy and paste it into their website, and it'll check if your input is correct.
Oh, that's legit. Like, I mean, like that's still like interactive enough, and like you don't. I mean, they probably are just like, hey, like everybody has like their own stuff anymore, like the
Right.
need it.
It's nice in that way too, because you can do it in any language.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I'll bookmark this right now. Oh, it even has that glow, the retro effect that I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
My gosh, half those stand-downs, I feel like I'm just like blabbing. Oh my gosh, it's still recording. I will cut out some parts of